It's a good day to brew, baby. What is up, YouTube? It's your boy Millsy, back from Hometown Commander, back for another episode of Millsy Brews, the show where I take my first shot at the commander in front of us on a budget on my quest out to brew the magic world. You know the motto, baby. It's ABB, always be brewing, and that's what we're back to do today. That deck list is going to be down in the description for you below, so I'd really appreciate it if you could interact with the video, like, comment, subscribe, consider checking out those links in the description. I'd appreciate it. But today, the Slivers did get one piece of support in Edge of Eternities, and once we had seen the leak of the card, I knew what I was going to do some Slivers Commander. I was thinking about whether I was going to do First Sliver or Grave Mother, go back to the Mono Horizons 3 Commander. I wasn't really sure what I was going to do. And then we saw that Sliver Overlord got a reprint in the special guest, and I said, I haven't done Sliver Overlord, let's do that one. Sliver Overlord is a 5-mana, 5-color Sliver Commander with 2 abilities. For 3 mana, we could search our library for a Sliver card, put it into our hand, and then shuffle. And for 3 mana, we can gain control of target Sliver, and it's a big 7/7. Importantly, you get to go look for a Sliver of your choice and get it into your hand, which is important because a lot of Slivers have some very interesting abilities, and your whole goal is just to stack them together. The other thing of note is that if I recall correctly, the Hive Pool does have a Sliver type. We'll confirm that when we go through the presentation. If it doesn't, then I'm just probably yamming my face off here. But Sliver Overlord, I think, is a really interesting commander. Getting to search for your Slivers is an interesting ability. I think the first Sliver is probably the most well-played Sliver commander, and we'll talk about that. But I wanted to celebrate the new special guest with a great new art and then have a ton of fun. But I want to say a quick thank you to the channel members. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. If you're interested in seeing all of our videos just a teeny bit early for just $1 a month, consider checking it out down below. I appreciate the support. Well, all right. What are Slivers? Slivers are all creatures of the Sliver type that have an ability that give all your Sliver creatures a certain ability. And what makes Sliver decks so good is combining these together into absolute keyword soups of creatures that are difficult to deal with. Bone Scythe gives all of our Slivers Double Strike. Cloud Shredder adds Flying and Haste. Diffusion adds the kind of like a Ward 2 ability. Whenever Sliver we control would become the target of a spell or ability. Counter it unless it pays 2. This was Ward 2 kind of before they called it Ward 2. But again, a very useful ability. Gale Rider Flying. Gemhide Sliver allows all of them to tap for a mana of any color. Harmonic Sliver basically gives them the Aura Shards ability to destroy an artifact or enchantment when they come in, which is pretty great. Hatchery lets them have Replicate. The Replicate cost is equal to its mana cost, basically giving you a copy of it for each time you play the Replicate spells. You can get multiple copies of it depending on, how many times you pay. Lava Belly says whenever this creature enters the battlefield, it deals 1 damage to target player or planeswalker, and you gain a life, so all your Slivers get that. Lazotep adds Afflict 2, so if a creature with Afflict 2 would become blocked, the defending player loses 2 life. And then whenever another non-token Sliver you control dies, you amass Slivers 2, so you get to make a Sliver army that grows. Kind of an interesting card, but Afflict 2 is not nothing to mess with, depending on how big your Slivers are. Manoweft, again, another ability to tap for mana of any color. Sentinel gives Vigilance. We're playing Morophon. We're playing a couple 5-color commanders in the deck just because they're great. When Morophon comes in, you choose a creature type. We're going to choose Sliver. He is all types, so Morophon is a Sliver, but all of the spells of that choice, that the chosen type cost Wooburg less to cast. You can only reduce the colored mana, but again, very useful, can make all of them cheaper, and buff all of our Slivers. Morophon is another great choice for a Slivers commander. Shifting gives the ability to basically give them all unblockable. They can only be blocked by other Slivers. And we get into a couple other legal options that can be your Sliver commander. Sliver Hive Lord giving all your Slivers indestructible. Sliver Legion giving all creatures +1/+1 for each other Sliver on the battlefield. Kind of this coat of arms ability for all your Slivers. A pretty great one. Striking Sliver First Strike. Synapse gives the ability to draw a card whenever a Sliver hits a player in combat. Siphon gives Lifelink. Tempered gives, whenever it hits a player in combat, put a counter on it. Venom gives Death Touch. There's the first Sliver, probably one of the most popular Sliver commanders. Has Cascade, and then whenever you cast a Sliver spell, it has Cascade. Remember, Cascade says you're going to exile cards from the top until you hit a non-land, or basically you hit a spell with mana value less than the spell that was cast, and you can cast it for free. First Sliver is a great card, and well worth its weight as a commander as well. We've covered it for the channel. Virulent gives them all Poisonous 1, so whenever a Sliver hits a player, they get a poison counter. It can be pretty fun with some of these double strike Slivers, right? And then Wing Sliver giving flying. I was wrong. The Hive Pool does not have the Sliver type on it, so you can't go get it with Sliver Overlord, but it's still a very good card. Affinity for Slivers, so this can come in for just 0 mana if you do have 6 Slivers. Gives all your Slivers double strike and haste. At the beginning of your upkeep, you make 2 new Slivers, which can trigger any of your other, dumbing in abilities. Double Strike and Haste are absolutely beautiful abilities, especially if you compare it with something like Flying or Trample or any of these other abilities. Their Slivers just get out of hand, and that's the goal of this deck, is to get the Slivers out of hand, get them to be just a mass of things for our opponents to deal with and take over the game. But I think we do need to talk about the fact that we're playing a 5-color Commander, and we need to get access to all 5 of our colors, especially because we have Slivers across every colors. There's a lot of ways you can do this. Things like Cultivate and Kadama's Reach are ramp spells that can go get 2 basic lands of any type, right? So we can kind of help round out our colors by doing it that way. Open the Way is a pretty fun spell. You can go up to X as 4 as the maximum, since there's 4 players in the game. Unless you're in a game that has more than 4 players in a fun variant, then you can go higher than that. But you just reveal the top until you hit that many land cards and put it on the battlefield tap. Can be a fun way to go get some of our tri-lands that we're playing and things like that. Chromatic Lantern gives all your lands the ability to tap for a mana of any color and taps for a land of any color. Decanter just taps for a mana of any color and gives us a maximum hand size. Patchwork's going to buff all of our Slivers and tap for a mana of any color. So again, we have these rocks that are going to tap for anything. But, we do have things like Chromatic Lantern, right, that can allow all of our lands to tap for anything. We also have things like Leyline of the Guild Pack and Prismatic Omen that are going to let all of our lands have every basic land type so that they can tap for any mana, mana of any color. Very useful, right, when we're trying to get all 5 of our colors under our control. And then Pillar of Origins, when it comes in, you choose a creature typing and tap for a mana of any color to cast a creature that type. Again, great, right, for Slivers, because then we can have anything we need to for those Slivers and make sure they come down. It may be quick and dirty, but the truth is, if you've never played against Slivers, you'll know what to expect the first time. After the first time you play against them, they're just going to go wide, get all these abilities, and have a ton of fun. And going into testing, truthfully, I think the deck getting better just comes down to the price tag you want to pay. Some of the other great 5-color Sliver commanders are not cheap, but they're very good in the 99 or as your commander. So they're pretty great. The other thing, truthfully, is I think the Sliver deck's very similar pretty much no matter what Sliver commander you have. You want to dump Slivers in, you want to get value, and I don't think it really matters which of the 5-color ones you choose. Just put one in there, try it around, whatever you want to do, have some fun. I was mistaken before. Sliver Greymother was in the Commander Masters commander decks, but it was a new 5-color Sliver commander. Legend rule doesn't apply to Slivers we control. Each Sliver we control in our graveyard each Sliver in our graveyard has Encore X, where X is its mana value. So basically, you can exile a card from your graveyard and get a copy of it attacking each opponent, that turn. It's an interesting card, not as good as some of the other Sliver commanders, but it always is an option. Of course, you have things like Banner of Kinship, which can come in, get a counter on it for each of a creature of a chosen type you have. And then for the rest of the game, it buffs all those creatures by how many tokens are on it. And then Defense of the Heart is a very interesting enchantment at the beginning of your upkeep. If an opponent has 3 or more creatures, you get to just go choose 2 creatures of your choice and put them on the battlefield. It's a really great enchantment for that reason, going to get 2 key things you want, dumping them on the battlefield, and just having a ton of fun with it. Of course, we have the Overlord that can help us with that, but 4 mana isn't a bad price to pay for it. But let's do what we love to do on this channel the most and get into our playtest. Remember, the goal of playtest on our channel is not to find magical Christmas land. It's not just to show off all our best plays and a highlight reel, but it's to get in some gameplay scenarios and just kind of understand how are we going to set up our game plan and what's the goal. So here I'm keeping a 4-lander, and I like this one. I got 2 tri-lands. I got Crossroads Village, which can come in as any color, and I've got an island. So I've got a good spread. I've also got the colors I would need for Cloud Shredder as well. Decanter can come in and help me with a color, and then we have Sliver Overlord to give all of our Slivers indestructible. So not a bad hand at all. I think we'll kind of start with our tap lands here, right? Because we need to in order to get them in. So I could go 3 into Decanter if I want to. I could get the Crossroads tapped in as something like a black. It's the only color that I'm missing. And we could go into like Cloud Shredder right now. Get in, get it attacking. There's the Savage Lands. That would have been the black source, right? Could get in tapped, go for the Decanter, and just kind of set up having now the right mana for all of our 5-color Slivers. I mean, Sliver Overlord immediately having flying and haste would be pretty cool. Necrotic Sliver lets us sacrifice permanents to destroy permanents. I kind of like the idea of just going for the Hive Lord and getting in and getting attacking. This turn again, we could set up more with the cultivate. We could go like ignite plus cultivate and just start ramping more, or we just slam Overlord in. Again, comes in with flying and haste. Now it has indestructible because the Hive Lord. We're still susceptible to single target exile removal, but we're looking great. Just continuing to bash in. Spiteful Sliver giving whenever this creature's dealt damage deals that much damage to any other player or planeswalker. Ignite gives me 5 mana. I'm thinking just like cultivate and then just hold up the Assassin's Trophy, or we go search, right? Maybe the answer is we go search here. Go search for for they're already in the air, so they're already going to be semi difficult to deal with. What would be the thing to get this on top? Lifelink would be fun, right? Giving us a ton of value there, getting us a bunch of life back. We have 2 mana, so if we want to think about what we have access to 2 mana wise, it could be really helpful to go get a sliver that is 2 mana that can be really useful for us. I was thinking of something like, where was it? Cryptic Sliver, allowing them to tap to regenerate themselves, basically preventing themselves from being destroyed, but we already have indestructible, so that's doing that. So Sliver's a buff. Sentinel Sliver's Vigilance, that's not bad. Could be fun to attack and still be able to get back to block. Gemhide Sliver to have them tap for mana's not bad either. Hibernation Sliver's not bad, allowing us to return them back to our hands to protect them, right, in case somebody tries to exile remove them. Striking Sliver. I was going to say, I know there's one that gives out double strike, but it's what, 4 mana? Maybe it's worth setting up for next turn and just getting the Bone Scythe for next turn. Hold up the Assassin's Trophy and attack. And then this turn, double striker. Plus that, and in 4/3, I think that still allows us to hold up Assassin's Trophy and then just get attacking. Now Sliver Overlord's becoming a real threat for commander damage. And I think we're in a good spot, other than maybe not searching for the right sliver, which is something you're going to learn over time, right? As you play test the deck, you're going to know what slivers do what, and you're going to understand, hey, what's the key thing I need in this scenario? Flying, double strike, trample. What are the things I need? And those are the things you can go get. Here we're keeping a 2-land with Arcane Signet, so that helps. We see the Gale Rider, we see the unblockable one there, Decanter for some ramp, and then the Necrotic Sliver again. But we see Sliver Hive. Can tap for a colorless, or it can tap for a mana of any color only to cast a sliver, or you can put 5 into it to make a sliver token. Very black heavy hand here, which is interesting, but I think we just get the Arcane Signet down, right? I got 4 mana. I'm thinking Decanter plus one of these 2 mana guys. Flying, Shroud, Flying. Just get one of the flyers down. I thought there was just trying to hit the spread because now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's mana for Sliver Overlord if we want to. I don't mind just getting blue, white. I think I can get the unblockable one in as well. My thought was just trying to get as much value on the board. My thought for Shroud was now when I get the Overlord down, at least it's getting protected. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we have a couple mana left over, I think, and for Gale Rider if we want to. But again, now we've still got a couple slivers getting in for unblockable. And I think now's the turn where we start going to search, right? What are we going to get? I would guess maybe something like the Double Strike Sliver here. Something like Poisonous 1, since they're all in the air, you could start doing that. We have enough to search and cast, right? So again, my thought is the bone one, the one that gives double strike. Go get it this turn, get them attacking. This really makes Sliver Overlord a commander damage threat with it having double strike. And then we could search again for the poisonous one. I think it's like virulent. It's just 1 mana to get down. So that's 3. This to pop something, this to pop something. But now we've got all these attackers. They have double strike, so technically with Poisonous 1 and Flying, they could be able to knock somebody out, just to 5 of them on their own. But I think Overlord's going to be a nice, threat to our opponents in that sense. But again, another great one here where we, using Overlord to go get the key slivers we want at the right time. We also could have gone for something like Haste if we wanted to, but I think, truthfully, I think we're demonstrating what the point of the Overlord is. Go get the key thing, put it into your hand, right, and you know what you're doing. Like you know what the game plan is here. All right, another 3-lander, Commander Sphere, and then Cultivate to help us fill out. We see Bonehide and then Crypt, which gives the ability to regenerate. I think we'll just start with the tap lands, get them in, get the party going. Arcane Gale Rider, I guess, just trying to get some value in. There's the tap land there. I could go Commander Sphere into Crypt Sliver, or I could go Kodama's Reach. I think I just like going that into Crypt Sliver. I think the 5 of those completely cover me for Wooburg, so I can leave up like the path and, do that. Set up the next turn here. I can search. I mean, there's the double strike really giving them a threat. They're already all in the air. What would make the most sense? I don't think any of the haste slivers are like 1 mana, right? So I don't think so, if I recall correctly. I think the haste slivers 2. First strike is 1. We already have double strike, so we don't really need that as much. Haste and flying is 2. We saw that, remember, the poisonous 1 was 1, so that's an option. I'm sorry, I haven't memorized all the slivers, so I'm just kind of looking through. Maybe I guess we do that, get it in. Now you're spreading out the poisonous 1 with the double strike, even though Sliver's going to do a great job of just getting itself to commander damage. Yeah, and that would leave us off our Path to Exile, but I don't know that really matters. Man, we could just draw a ton of cards with a Kindred Discovery. But I think we're good. I mean, Sliver's continuing to present a commander damage threat to something if you just don't want to knock somebody else with it. Otherwise, we have 5 creatures in the air with double strike. That means we're knocking people out with poison, and you just start the Grand Tour, right? We could go search for something like Sliver Hivelord to give the whole board indestructible. I actually think we have to do that. Legion could also just start giving some threat. But my thought is something like the Hivelord to protect the board, and we'd have 3 to search, 5 to get in, and then we're just in great shape. I know the playtests are a little short, but like truthfully, I think the brand of Slivers is pretty easy to guess. You know what you're about, and I think so much of Overlord as a commander is knowing which Slivers you're trying to get at the right time and pair them together. Here we got a 3-lander World Tree. If you get to 6 lands, let's all our lands tap for any color. We got First Strike, the pay 2 life, bring it back to the hand, and then some removal here. I think we get the World Tree in. Starting town can get some value. I'm kind of thinking this. Put the First Strike Sliver in. Here, get the Ingot in. Here, and I almost want to just do Mirari's Wake, just because it can double up our mana and give us a bigger turn next turn, is my thought. Because now I have effectively 10 mana and then 1 from the Ignite, so 11, right? Because you could go Sliver, and then you have Wooburg left to get these other 2 in. Don't have haste, but I think that's okay. You've got a great board up. That was 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So you have 2 mana left. Not enough to search, but basically we're just setting ourselves up. Ooh, Morophon's interesting. But I think you just go search now for you've got the buff, you've got First Strike. You go search for your flyer. Your flyer is really cheap. We said we had 11 mana, so that means we could do Morophon's search for like Gale Rider, right? The one that gives flying. Like you could do that. You could search for the Virulent, right? There's a bunch of different options, but that's my thought. Go get Gale Rider to go get them all in the air. I just realized it's free because of Morophon, so that's, I guess, beneficial. Take the attack, you're in the air, you're hitting nice damage. And then this turn, if I go Palisades, that's 4, searches 8. The Gemhide one was 11, right? Oh, but we get the reduction for Morophon. So yeah, what is it? Gemhide wasn't the double strike. Bone Scythe was the double strike. Search it, go get it, put it down, use the Palisade to clear the way. And again, a couple buffs from the Wake and the Predatory Sliver are really going to help. I guess we also could have gone for something like Sliver Legion as well. and we would have been in good shape, giving a plus, what, 7 buff there. Again, it all comes down to what are you searching for at the right time to deal the best to the board. But I'd love to know, what do you think of Sliver Overlord? Again, there's so many great sliver options for commanders, Legion, Hive Lord, First Sliver. The options are plentiful, Morphin, Morphon, whatever you want to do is your prerogative. But I'd love to know what you think of Overlord in the comment section below, and I will catch you all in the